Good morning. I want to talk about undergirding our nation. Undergirding, supporting, holding up, defending our nation. You know, talking is what I do. I preach, I teach, and I exhort. So talking is what I do. But talking is not all that I do. I believe in taking positive, proactive, and productive action, and I might add, sooner rather than later. This is my take, so don't hate. Good Thursday morning, and welcome to another episode of My Take on this Thursday, October the 21st, 2021. Amen. So glad to have you on board. You know, it's very likely that every last one of us is well versed in the fine art of complaining and criticizing. I know that I am. Sometimes well-founded and well-deserved, and sometimes not. You know, and I'm good with it, being constructive criticism or destructive criticism, because sometimes some things really need to be torn down. You know, we exercise our freedom of speech, our freedom of assembly, and our freedom to protest, and I believe that we should. But protest and demonstrations or demonstrate about the right thing and the right time and in the right way. And always in an effective way. That's what I want. I want us to be effective in all that we do. Because if you're not effective, if you're not getting the job done, if you're not reaching your goal, then what is the point? You know, I've learned, however, that not every cause out there is necessarily a worthy cause. There are many causes out there, many people, many groups that are out there to promote their cause. But I have learned over time and through experiences, you know, just like I talk about choosing your battles prayerfully, you know, and I think the same thing applies when it comes to protests and demonstrations and causes that we fight for and that we defend, that we need to be very careful about the bandwagons we jump on, if you will. Amen? Amen. So, but I believe in fighting for causes. I believe in standing up for what is right and standing up for our rights as Americans. Amen. And I'm what you might call because you probably figured this out by now, I'm what you might call a vocal critic of politics and policies in America, as well as some politicians in America. And I'm a vocal critic of anything and anyone that seeks to undermine our democracy or sabotage our future or our freedoms or exploit the people of America. Oh yes, you're going to hear from me. I feel a responsibility to speak and know when well enough is not well enough. I can't leave it alone. Go along with it, put up with it, tolerate it, and surrender to it, or simply not in my DNA. If you were made to keep quiet, then go right ahead, but don't try to silence me. If you were made to be passive and submissive, then that's your thing. Do what you want to do. But that's not me. I'm not made that way, and I wasn't raised that way. But if that's you, that's fine. That's your privilege. That's your right. But if you're going to if we are going to rescue this country from itself and make it what it should be, there has to be more than tough talk or a loud bark or an aggressive growl. It's going to take more than demonstrations. It's going to take more than protests. All of that may be needed. But this is our country. If it is to stand, you and I must hold it up, undergird it, and support it. Tough and perhaps unpopular decisions will have to be made. Sleeves will have to be rolled up. Hands will have to get dirty. Risk will have to be taken, and sacrifices must be made. You know, there's a lot of talk about patriotism and defending our country. And I'm all for defending our nation. But how do you defend a nation against itself? What do we do when we are our worst and our most dangerous enemy? Do we defend it by covering up its wrongs and its ugliness? Do we defend it by turning a blind eye to political corruption? Are we not supposed to challenge anything, criticize anything, or complain anything about anything without being said that we are not patriotic? Is that what makes us patriots? Do the powers that be supposed to dictate to the people what to say and when to say it? And if we speak out of turn, are we to silently sit and endure the insults and the disparaging remarks aimed at us by those we put in office? Is that what makes America great? And is that what makes us great Americans? You know, our most recent ex-president, as if right on cue, continues to prove my point about his unworthiness. He does. He did again with his latest act of evil and hate that was directed towards the late General Colin Powell, a wonderful American, a hero of America. And yet this guy criticizes him, talks about him, because if anyone gets lifted up, if anyone is to be commended, he thinks it's supposed to be him and nobody else. And here this great American, this hero of America, has died in this, I can't say everything I want to say because they'll ban me from YouTube and Facebook. But listen, all you got to do is look at it. All you got to do is listen. Listen. And, you know, and I believe that if we give him enough time, and it won't take very long, it won't be much longer, that he will, listen, he will eventually curse America and denounce America. I believe that that's going to happen. The America that he claimed to make great again. And he's actually already in that stage as we speak. He's already doing that. He's already denouncing America. This guy just can't seem to get out of his own way. You know, it seems that nobody wants to talk about it. But the ex-president continues his feeble attempts to really overthrow the American government, to overthrow our government. And he has even extended his reach to destroy efforts to destroy states, certain states and governors that he deems not favorable to him. And I honestly can't believe that there are still people out there who still want this guy as their president. But that's your right. But that's the most tragic and dangerous part of all this, what I consider to be nonsense. You know, it's time to give it a rest. All the rhetoric and all the well-worn lies, scare tactics, and conspiracy theories of the past and present about somebody taking our country, about somebody stealing the election, about somebody taking our jobs. I mean, just give it a rest already. You know, I recently saw a campaign sign of a black politician, a turncoat Democrat, now Republican, who mentioned in his campaign material the slogan, I believe it was something like, "Let's take back Georgia. Let's take Georgia back," or something. And I wonder, who does he think is on that team with him? And take it back from where? Take it back from whom? I didn't even know anyone had stolen it. And then there's another black Republican, really a non-politician, who has been duped into running for office simply because another black man holds that office that the Republicans want and lust after. And this young fella is being used and manipulated and pimped by the powers that be. And he doesn't have a clue as to what is happening to him. I mean, it would really be laughable if it weren't so pathetic. But again, my friend, it's going to take more than talk. It's going to take more than criticism. It's going to take more than complaining to undergird our nation. It's going to take fair-minded people to say enough and mean it's enough and be about building and reinforcing the core of our country. Yes, our nation is in shambles and in decline morally and spiritually and even economically for the average American, the average family, the average person. and has been for a long time. But we can stop the free fall. We must stop the free fall. No, we can't just kick her when she's down. We must undergird our nation. And that is undergird and not undermine. I hear what you're saying. You say, okay, Mr. Talker, do you have anything more other than talk? Yes, I do. But talking and speaking out and speaking up is a good start. But I also have a plan of action, not one that I can implement and carry out by myself or alone, but one that, if thrown in with other ideas and other plans from many of you, I believe will turn this ship around and get it on the right course. But we must take action. I think we begin by owning and claiming this country as our own. And if it is ours, we must take responsibility for it. I said, if it is ours, we must be accountable to one another for our nation. There can be no pacing the sidelines, we're in football season, or sitting in the stands. There can be no bench warmers or recliner or Monday morning quarterbacks. There can be no backseat drivers. Every soul must be on the field of play and involved and engaged in the game. In this game, there's no penalty for too many players on the field. The more, the merrier. In fact, the game requires that every man, every woman, not only be on the field, but actively involved in the game. We've got to stop, listen, we've got to stop blocking and tackling our own players. We've got to stop running with the ball in the wrong direction. Listen, and we've got to cease with the unnecessary roughness calls on each other. Now, shifting back to the battlefield, we must stop the friendly fire incidents and stop treating each other as enemies. Politicians must be reeled in and made accountable to the people, not to special interests and not to cater to or buckle to the buddy system, but they need to be made accountable to us. So let's reel them in. Politicians must be reminded that their allegiance is to the people and that they are accountable to the people and not to the party or some special interest group. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They've gotten out there, way out there, way too far. And it's time to reel them in. Come on, let's catch the big one and reel them in. They must know that if they continue to follow an out-of-control, self-appointed king of an ex-president for their own personal interest and advancement, then they will pay the price with early retirement. We must make sure of that. Then when it comes to big business and all these high, out-of-control prices, there's no such thing as I guess we'll just have to pay it. No, we don't have to just pay it. But they are depending on us to take that attitude, to just pay it and go on complaining, but doing nothing about it. If we leave that food on the shelves a little while longer, we get more than we need. But if we leave it there, it'll come down. The prices will come down. If we stop driving so much and pass by a few gas stations and leave that gas in their tanks, the prices will come down. And if we stop acting like we just got to have it, we just have to have everything we want, and if we stop doing that, leave that merchandise in the stores, I guarantee you the prices will come down. If the poor, desperate workers will stop allowing these companies to make them, to pay them pennies and make them cover jobs and responsibilities that are meant for 5, 6, or 7 more people. When you walk into a filling station, I guess you would call it, looks more like a shopping mall, where they've got 20 pumps out there, and then part of it is a restaurant, part of it is a clothing store, part of it is a cafe, all of this, and have 1 or 2 people in there trying to do everything. I guarantee you they're not making the salaries of 5 or 6 people, and yet they're doing the jobs, they're covering the responsibilities that should be going to at least 5, 6, 7, 8 more people. Stop letting people use you like that. I know you need to work and I know that you need a job, but if we're to turn this thing around, we're going to have to make some very tough decisions, and we're going to have to do some things sometimes that may hurt just a little bit. Amen. And I believe that if we do that, we'll see customer service improved and we'll see salaries improve. When we begin to understand that we are the primary teachers of our children, and the school teachers, they are there to supplement the work of the parents, then our children will be better, they will be better educated, they will be better prepared, and our teachers can do their job more effectively and with greater pleasure. They'll be glad to come to work every day. When we finally realize the politicians and the public servants work for us, and we tell them what we want instead of them telling us what they will do, then, my friend, true democracy will emerge from the ruins. When the people of the various communities of America, when we wake up and when we realize that we are the primary providers and protectors of our communities, and the government and the police are there to supplement our efforts and to work with us, then and only then will crime begin to come down. Yeah, I know it as well as you know it, of course. We have problems with the government. We have problems with the law enforcement, with the police. And the reality with the police is that most are much better at investigating crime than they are at policing or preventing crime. But that's another story for another time. We won't deal with that one today, but I will get to it. Trust me, I will get to it. But listen, that's not entirely their fault. They can't do it alone. They can't do it without you and without me and us being responsible citizens and doing our part. They can't do it. We are expecting much too much from them. It's going to take us challenging the foolishness, challenging the stupidity, and challenging the lying, corrupt politicians. And yes, even challenging one another, challenging each other to engage in the work of political and social and economic change, not only on the local level, but the state level and the national level. It's going to take us challenging corporate America and big business that continue to rake in the exorbitant and excessive profits on the shoulders and on the backs of the American people. That's what it's going to take, my friend. It's going to take us challenging ourselves, each one of us, to be better and to do better and to take an active role in shaping and building an America that loves and cares for its people and cares for the world at large. Let us build a big country that cares for the little people, and one that always pulls for the underdog. Not a prejudiced America, not a hateful or racist or sexist America, and certainly not a divisive and self-destructive America, but an America that would bring us together, where we can and will respect one another and indeed love our neighbor. Let us build an America where there are no big I's and little U's, where the people are more important than the party or even the economy. It can happen. It can be, and I declare that it shall be. Or we might as well prepare ourselves for a fall from the state of high and mighty and a sudden and painful stop. I'm not just talking. I'm proposing that we wake up and shake ourselves and shake off the hate, shake off the division, shake off the racism and every other ism. I'm proposing that we shake off every practice and every policy that abuses and misuses and exploits the American people. I'm proposing that we move forward towards the things that will elevate our nation and secure our nation, where we will be great, not because of the size of our army and not because of the number of weapons that we possess, but where we will be great because of the love and compassion we show towards the people, towards one another. A nation that we truly believe should be a United States of America, and one that we will love enough to correct when she's wrong, and where we will indeed stand beside her and guide her. Now that's my take. What do you have to say? Sound off. Yeah, that's it.